Hi, this video is designed to support you as you begin the document review for the context of teaching, including the discussions associated with the context for teaching. Much like the previous screencasts, after viewing this, you should be able to access the actual context for teaching documents that your PTs have submitted into Haiku. You will be able to access the discussions that are associated with that, which are new this year, to review the documents for those critical components that are necessary to be able to move a participating teacher forward, and to insert the grades associated with the context for teaching. The screen I'm showing you right now, please don't worry, I'm not going to read it, are the main pieces of the program requirements for the credentialing process for the state of California. So through the CTC, many program standards have been developed, as well as participating teacher standards for the induction program. The ones that I've highlighted here are the ones that can be directly connected to the context for teaching. Again, I'm not going to read them, but each and every one begins to focus on the teacher's context and the importance of the opportunities for teachers to reflect. We're here at Pedagogy, which you have experience with. It's called Standard 5 in the program standards, and it elaborates upon what participating teachers must show evidence of throughout the process of induction. The ones that are directly connected to context for teaching I have highlighted, although honestly many of these could be included. I just tried to pick out those that are most directly pertinent. Why this and why at this point? Well, there are certain items that participating teachers must show evidence of, and you'll recall this from all the work you've done in support provider orientation and your work with participating teachers and support providers. We tend to get a lot of these questions as district leads or hub leaders from support providers, particularly new ones. What participating teachers must show evidence of comes right back, though, to understanding their students and where they are teaching. And so when we review these documents, we want to keep this in mind. As you well know, based on your experience, we're not looking for how many boxes can a participating teacher complete. What we're looking for are these essentials. Will they be able to adhere to legal and ethical obligations, for example, for teaching English learners? Because the first step is knowing their English learners and where they stand in terms of their English language, and that is based upon data, not on an impression by a teacher. So with those thoughts in mind, now we can go forward and do our actual review. Because the pages have changed this year, very much for the better based on a lot of feedback of folks like you, let's take a look at where things are located and where you can find things like the discussions and the expectations for the context for teaching. So we're right here on this page 1-2 context for teaching and learning, and I've already clicked on here 1-2 context for teacher and learning, and that's where we are. So there is a video followed by a discussion, and this is new this year, and these are amazing resources. So it says, answer the discussion A question from the video above. We'll show you where you can go to put in your grade for teacher completion of that. So let's take a look first at reviewing the discussion. There aren't any here at the current time. We're going to click on more up here. So notice that on the screen it gives to the PTs their directions of what needs to be included in an excellent discussion post. So we want to refer to these, also note a response to at least one other colleague's post. So you can go in here, you can review different teachers' responses, and this gives you options: thread with the most recent activity, by the date created, and only those with unread posts. So here's where you can go in and read individual posts and respond as you would like based on this series of expectations that you see up here. Suppose that you've reviewed them and you're ready to give participating teachers credit or acknowledgement. If you go over here and click on Manage Discussion, you can click on View Results. And what this will show you, for example, here's a name, their number of posts. You'll be able to insert a score. And what that means is, suppose you've read them, now you're able to check them off with, for example, an X, which will show up in the grade book as full completion of that particular discussion. So here is not where you look at the content for review, but this is where you can actually put the grades in. Another option is to go to grades, if you have a better memory than I do. And what you'll find, if you click on grades here, is you'll find the grade book. And you would be able to go to that particular assignment, answer the discussion question here, and you would be able to insert that grade. Double click, put an X, click on the check mark, and Erin Hill now has a score of completion. Either way works. I've moved to a year 2 example because there actually are some documents under the context for teaching and learning that we can use in our review. So here we are under section 1, August, September. You can see this list of assignments, note discussion A and discussion B, so we don't forget those. Context for teaching and learning is where we would find that page with the video and the discussion information. We're going to go to Connect, and we're going to go to the Dropbox because we want to take a look at the documents submitted by our PTs. So here is a list of the items that will be required as assignments. I hate to use that word. And what you'll find is there's quite a number of them that will be highlighted. So for example, you can see here's context for teaching and learning, and there's one submission that I have not looked at yet. So I'm going to click on that, and it's going to take me to, okay, we're going to click on this person's name and pull up their documents, and many times the documents will open within Haiku. If they don't, then as we click on their documents, they will be downloaded to wherever our downloaded documents come. This person uploaded it in Pages. I happen to have Pages because I work on a Macintosh, but of course some of you may not, and then you'll have to write them back and say, please convert to a Word document. So we're going to go forward into the actual documents. Okay, so here is our verification form. And of course this should be filled out with participating teacher and district. And this is where we can clearly go through and look at the expectations for each section. This is where we can put our initials as to whether or not this portion is accepted. And over here, if we're saying that it is not accepted, then here's where we can elaborate as to why. Now our hope this year is that the support providers have already done this. And we might see accepted initials along with some initial comments, but ultimately before we get it to review, each and every one of these should have initials in it from the support provider that they have accepted it, along with their signature saying that they have discussed all of this with the participating teacher, have reviewed the work, it's complete and meets expectations. Here is where we're going to sign, after we do the fact review, the fact verification review. So now we get into the actual documents. The expectations are pretty specific. So let's take a quick look at a couple. For example, this is class profile A-1. I have removed the student names even though the teacher had only inserted the first name. But this would be considered to be obviously a very complete class profile. Everything is inserted in terms of English learner. Date of birth is K3 only. Special needs, identifiers. Over here, this person really has inserted quite a number of comments for their students. As this is not due within the first or second week of school, we hope that the teachers had enough experience that they could write something about their students. Here we have, sorry for the rolling, here we have individualized education plans. This particular teacher wrote quite a bit on one student, but you can see where we need to have the basic goals for each and every student, primarily because this is showing evidence that if the teacher understands the IEP and goals and appropriate modifications and accommodations, then they can begin to implement them into their classroom instruction. Students with 504 plans, this teacher has none. Students who are gifted and talented, students who are EL learners, English learners. We really need to know this information. It tells us, number one, that the teacher has been able to obtain it. Therefore, they can begin to build their lesson plans and other plans accordingly in terms of students' English language. What we want to support teachers in moving away from are the impressions of what a student may or may not have in terms of their language proficiency, and really relying on data. This teacher added some information that is not required, and so this was where they just showed where the data came from. Classroom layout. As you know, teachers are asked to upload a design or photograph or some indication, some visual indication of what their classroom looks like. And then there's a rationale. What we're looking for is that the teacher is able to really articulate why the students are seated where they're seated. One of the things that would be very helpful is if the teacher has indicated where particular students are sitting, such as those with accommodations and modifications. If we return quickly to the fact verification form, we'll see classroom layout really has two pieces of expectation: the image layout of the classroom and a thoughtful and clear rationale for decision. A-3 is school and district information and resources. Essentially all portions are completed. May a teacher reference another document that they have inserted? Absolutely. What we're looking for again is their knowledge of their school and the district in which they teach. Many times what we find, as you well know, as PTs are completing this particular form, they're doing so with the support and help of their support provider, and that can lead to some incredibly valuable conversations, particularly around API scores, what types of resources are available at the school or within the district. Part 2 will go further into how to review the